So in the last episode, we were able to take a look at the routing system in Next.js, and we explored our pages folder right here. Now in this episode, I want us to create the layout of our blog, and for that we'll be needing to style some components, and therefore we'll also explore this styles folder. So let's take a look at what is inside the styles folder. And the first thing that you'll see is the globals.css file. And this globals.css file will include all the global styles for our application. And this file is being imported inside the that is app.js file right here. And app.js is like the root of our application. So you can see this is where we are importing the globals.css file. And the other file that we have here is home.module.css. So Next.js allows you to use CSS modules. And what we mean by CSS modules is that you can add a CSS file for like each page or each component, and those styles will only be applied to that particular page or component. Okay, so for example, this home.module.css is being imported in index.js. So this is where we are importing it, and as you can see, we are importing styles right here from that particular home.module.css file. And then how we are adding class names is by using this styles object right here. So we say class name is equals to, we use this curly brackets, and then we say styles.container. Now this will apply the container class to this div, and then that container class, I'm sure it has some styling here. It has some stylings here. So that is how the CSS modules work. And there are many other ways in which you can style your Next.js app. You can actually make use of the SCSS or SAS, and all you need to do is to install SAS, and you'll not do any further configuration. You'll just change the extension here to something like home.module.scss. So when using CSS modules, you must include this extension right here, module.css, and then the name of the file like there. So when styling our blog, we will not be using SAS, we will not be using CSS modules. What we will be using is what we call styled JSX. And you can use any method that you want to style your blog. You can use material UI, you can use tailwind CSS, you can use styled components. All those various ways in which you can style your application in React. You can as well use them in Next.js. So in this case, I'll just do some cleanup. So I'll delete the import for the CSS here. I'll delete the image. I can let the head stay, but what I'll do, I'll also delete the content right here. So I want to do some cleanup before we even proceed. And right here, I can just include a h2 as a placeholder to know which is our home page. And at the home page is where we'll be having our blog list. So let me add blog list right there and save that. And maybe I can customize the head here. You can say Chaoo blog. And then I'll come to the meta tag, and you can say whichever description that you want. So I'll also repeat this to be Chaoo blog, and that will be it for this index.js for now. And since we are not using CSS modules, I'll also delete this home.module.css. Let's also do some cleanup at our pages folder. We'll not be having any about sections in our blog, so I'll delete the about here, and then we'll be making use of this post later on. Now let us create our navbar and also our footer and layout our page. So how we will do that is that we can be able to add React components, which we don't want them to be like pages. We want them to be just components. So how you can do that, you can create a new folder. You can give it a name, so components make sense. And then inside this components folder, I'll create a new file called layout. So I'll say layout.jsx. And then I'll create another file called navbar.jsx, and I'll create another one called footer.jsx. Okay, and then let's start with the layout. So at the layout here, I can use a shortcut here to create a component. I'll call it layout, and in here we can have a div, and I'll give it a class name of container. So I'll say class name be equal to container, and inside this div is where we will be having our navbar, our footer, and the content. So let's create like the components for the navbar and for the footer. So I'll say sfc, and this will be the navbar, and for now let us just return a navbar here just as a placeholder. I'll save that. Let's go to the footer. I'll say sfc. So by the way, this shortcut that I'm using here is from Simple React Snippets extension. So let me show you the snippet in a minute, so that if you want to use it, you can as well use it. Okay, so at the extensions, I have several extensions here, and the one that I'm using for that shortcut is this one, Simple React Snippets. Okay, so you can as well install it if you want, and then you'll like quickly get started with your component. Now in the layout, the first thing that we will have right here is the navbar. So I'll say navbar like that, and then we will have the content, and then we'll have the footer. So let me first add the footer, and then for the content will be our pages. So first of all, let's wrap our everything in the application with this layout, and I'll show you how the content will come along. So inside the pages folder, I'll go to app.js, and then I'll wrap this component right here with that layout. Okay, right here I'll say layout. Hopefully I'll get the auto import, and then I'll do like that, and then I'll hit enter, and then I'll wrap the component here inside the layout, and then I'll save. So now how should we like add this component to be our content? So this will now be like the child inside our layout. So in the layout right here, we can destructure children from here. So I'll say children, and then now inside here we can have like a div, and whatever will display in here is our children, and now these children is the different pages in our application. And then now right here I can give this a class name of content. So far, let's see what we have. Okay, so we should have the navbar at the top, we should have the content, and then we should have the footer. So let's visit our application, and we seem to be having an error. Footer is not defined. We should import footer. So let's import footer right here from footer, and then I'll save now. Hopefully we don't have any other error. Css Styles is not defined. So this is inside the index.js home component. So what we should do is to go to index.js and remove this class name. And yeah, I'll save again. Let's see if we have any other error, and we don't have any other error. So this is what now we currently have. We have the navbar at the top, we have the blog list right here. Now these will be our different pages, and then we have the footer. So if we try to visit like a specific post, we should go to post stroke any ID. We should have the same layout. Okay, so we should have navbar, then the details, then the footer. So navbar is consistent, we have the page there, and then the footer. So this is like now our layout of the blog. So now we can like style this layout using styled JSX. So inside the layout, how do we add styles using styled JSX? So before this closing tag, the one that we have at the high level, we can like hit enter, and right here we can add a style tag, and this style tag we can include an attribute JSX, and now we can like include CSS styles in here. And this is how we do it. We use the curly brackets, and then we use the backticks, And now you can write your normal CSS inside these backticks, okay? For example, we will select the container. So I'll say .container, and we will give it a mean height. So I'll say mean hyphen height, and I'll calculate the height right here using the calc function in CSS. So I'll say calc, and I'll say let it be 100 VH minus 190 px. So this 190 px will both be the height of the navbar and the height of the footer. Let us give it a max width of 750 px, and let us give it a padding around it of 30 px, and also let us give it a margin of outer. So the margin will like center this container, okay? So margin of outer. So what will happen is that let me save to like outer format. So what will happen is that these styles will be applied to our container class right here, and they will only be applied in this particular file. So if you have another container outside this file, these styles will not be applied. They are only specific for this particular component, okay? And this is like a CSS in JavaScript, because as you can see, we are inside the JSX file or a JavaScript file, and we are able to add the styles. So if I save this, you should see that we have a limited width and also the padding, and it's at the center. So I'll save that, and then let's see what we have. Now you can see it moved right here. We are no longer like at the very edge. Now let us style the navbar. So I'll go to the navbar component, and let us start by adding the content for the navbar. So first things first, we can add a nav element, and inside this nav element we can have a h2, and this h2 will be having a link, and this link is from Next. So let's import it, and right here I can say Chaoo blog, or you can include a logo if you want. Let us have a href, and I'll set it to be home. Okay, so when I click Chaoo blog, it will take us to home. And for this navbar, I'll have a class name of nav, and after this one, let us have the second thing. I can have a div, and right here you can include like links for the left side of the navbar. Let me just include a link to like my portfolio. So I'll say an A. So you can also like use A tags. So I'll use an A, and for this A, I'll say my portfolio, and this can have several attributes. So we can have href, and I can include the link to my portfolio, which is https ://, and then Chaoo Charles .dev. So you should actually check out my portfolio, and if you like it, I also have a full course on the same, okay? So you can check that one out, and I'll leave a link at the description section below for the course. And then now right here I can target, I want it to open on a new page, so I'll target underscore blank, and then now right here I can have rel to be equal to no referrer. Otherwise these will throw an error, and when we get to deploying our application, it won't like actually run because of this error. So we have to like include that for security reasons. I think it's spelled that way. So this is like the layout of our navbar, the heading where we have the logo, and then a link at the left. So you can include as many links as you want, but I don't want to focus too much on that. Now let's style this one. So let me first save to auto format. So before closing these fragment, we can add our style right here, style, and then the JSX attribute, and we close it like that. And now we can include the curly brackets and also the backticks. And now in here we can add the styles. So I'll target the nav class, which is this one, and in here we can be able to add the different styles. So first of all, I'll give it a background. So we can say background, to be this color, so that is dark color. And then let's change the color now to white. Let's add a height of 70px. Let us add a display of flex. Add a justify hyphen content to be space between, space hyphen between. And then we will add align items at the center. To be the center. And finally I can like add a padding, so I'll say padding to be 0 and 20px. Let's see what we have so far. So I'll save that. Hopefully everything is correct, the spelling, and let's see what we have. And this is now what we have. We have the navbar right here, and then the details right here. These styles are supposed to be for the content, so I'll just change the class name here to content. So I'll say content, and actually remove this class name. I won't be using it. So I'll save that, and let's see what we have. Yeah, I want it to be this way, this to stretch all the way, and then we have our content like this. Okay, now we can style the footer here. So I'll go to the footer right here, and let's add some styles. Now for the footer, I'll just add a div right here with a class name of footer. Div class name to be footer, and in the body I'll just add a p tag with all rights reserved. So you can style your footer to be as complex as you want. I just want this one to be simple one, just to have a nice layout going on. Now using styled JSX, we can add a style tag, then JSX, and add the styles right here. I'll select the footer class. I'll give this a height of 120px, and then right here I'll give it a background of this color hash 38, and then I'll give it a color of white, and I'll display flex just to center everything. So I'll align the items to the center, and I will justify the content to the center. So I'll save that, and let's see what we have. So there we have the footer. So this is now our layout. We have the navbar, the content, and then the footer, but you can see that we have a white space down here. So our min height is not working okay. So let's check it at our layout, and min height calc. This we should be like having space between this one and this one. I think it's affecting. When we save, that should fix it. And there we go. Now we have a nice layout for our blog. Now in the next episode, we will take a look at Contentful. We will set it up so that we can now be able to fetch data for our blogs and be able to continue with our Next.js application. So I'll see you on the next one.